My son drew a picture of our family for art class, and an hour later there were 3 police cars in my driveway. I heard the sirens before the knock, then someone hit my front door hard enough to rattle the frame. I looked through the peephole. Officers, 3 of them, and a woman in plain clothes. Police, open the door. My hands were shaking as I unlocked it. They didn't wait for me to step aside. 2 officers moved past me into the house, one headed straight for the stairs. Ma'am, is anyone else home? My son, he's 9. He's in his room. What is this? The woman in plain clothes held up a badge. I'm Detective Ramos. This is Ms. Hadley from Child Protective Services. We received a report from your son's school about a disturbing drawing. She showed me a photo on her phone. Mateo's art assignment. Crayon stick figures, a tall one and a shorter one, and something in the tall one's hand pointed right at the shorter one's head. Your son told his teacher this is Dad's machine. We need to know where your husband is right now. He's at work. He runs a tree removal crew. He's on a job site. We're sending a unit to meet him there. They brought Mateo downstairs before I could stop them. He was trembling. An officer had already started asking him questions. Mommy, am I in trouble? No, baby. It's okay. Ms. Hadley sat across from him and smiled like this was all normal. Mateo, can you tell me about the picture you drew today? It was for art. Ms. Pruitt said draw your family doing something fun. And what's this that Dad's holding? His machine. Can you tell me more about Dad's machine? It's really big. Dad says it's the biggest one he's ever had. Detective Ramos and Ms. Hadley exchanged a look. And what does Dad do with the machine? He takes it to the trees. Sometimes Mommy helps hold it because it's so heavy. Ms. Hadley wrote something down. Has Dad ever pointed the machine at Mommy? Yeah. He made Mommy hold it up and then he took a picture. I realized what was happening. Every innocent answer was making it worse. They weren't hearing what Mateo was actually saying. They were hearing what they'd already decided they'd find. You need to stop questioning my son. I walked to the bookshelf, grabbed the photo album from the spring, and dropped it on the coffee table. Open it. Ms. Hadley hesitated. Ma'am, we're conducting an investigation. Open it. Detective Ramos nodded, and she did. Page after page of the weekend, we cleared the dead oak in my mother's backyard. My husband in his harness. Mateo holding a stick of cut wood like a trophy. Me, struggling to lift a chainsaw that weighs almost as much as our dog. And then the photo. The one Mateo drew. My husband standing in the yard, the chainsaw raised in both hands. The long guide bar angled across the frame. Me beside him. From the angle of the shot, the bar looked like it was lined up with my head. That's Dad's machine, I said. A chainsaw. He's run a tree service for 11 years. Mateo's been begging to hold it since he could walk. I pointed at the drawing on the detective's phone. The long part, that's the bar. The little teeth Mateo drew along the edge, that's the chain. The big shape there is the log, the one my husband cut that morning. Mateo looked up at me, his lip wobbling. Did I draw it wrong, Mommy? No, sweetheart. You drew it perfect. These people just didn't know what a chainsaw looks like. Detective Ramos closed her notepad. Ms. Hadley wouldn't make eye contact. The officer by the door shifted his weight. So, just to be clear, I said, my voice finally steadying into something cold. You sent 3 squad cars to my house. You scared my 9-year-old. You searched his bedroom and questioned him with no parent in the room because his art teacher couldn't tell the difference between a weapon and a chainsaw in a kid's crayon drawing. Detective Ramos was the last to leave. She paused at the door. For what it's worth, I'm sorry this happened. Tell my son. He spent the last hour thinking he'd done something that gets you arrested. She didn't answer. She just walked out. The school called the next morning, all warmth, wanting to put this behind us. I told them we'd be putting them behind us. Mateo starts somewhere new on Monday. That night, I sat with him on his bed and explained that he hadn't done anything wrong, that drawing your dad doing his job is exactly what the assignment asked for, and that the grown-ups had made a mistake, not him. It took a while before his shoulders came down from around his ears. I hung his drawing on the fridge, right next to the photo that inspired it. My husband, mid-cut, sawdust in the air, the most dangerous chainsaw in the county. And underneath it, in Mateo's handwriting, the title he'd given the picture before anyone turned it into something it wasn't. My dad is the strongest.